Morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? So really glad to follow Chris. We talked to the Dialect guys back in Austin a few months ago, and we're excited to actually integrate with Dialect as well in some of the Helium ecosystem. So we want to tell all of you a little bit about us coming to Solana. Our network. Our community decided to vote and move the network to Solana earlier this year, and we want to spend a little bit of time today talking through how we're doing that, our progress, and actually do a live demo of our contracts if the Wi-Fi doesn't rug us. We'll see. But we have a backup video just in case. So before we jump into the fun stuff, I want to tell you all, or give you all a little bit of background about what we do with the Helium network. So this is the Helium network. It's the people's network. It's the world's first decentralized wireless network. It's powered by the H&T incentive model, and it's owned by the people. What does that mean? That means you as an individual can have a radio in your house, on your roof, in a coffee shop, looking out onto an open plaza, and you're able to provide access to sensors and to phones to anyone permissionlessly. The core mission of Helium has always been to build ubiquitous and affordable connectivity to the internet for all things and people. And over the last 3 years, the Helium network has grown to over 970,000 hotspots worldwide in more than 75,000 cities. And here's what hotspot coverage looks like here in Lisbon. You can see that it's actually pretty well covered where we are. All the sensors in the city of Lisbon is able to reach the internet because of this coverage that the community has built. There's several people here at Breakpoint, and they've been building this coverage. If you talk to the Hotspotty folks, the ShareSpot folks, Heliotics, several companies that have really done amazing things here. So what did the Helium network start with? We started with an IoT network. So companies can use the network to build solutions for things like air quality monitoring, asset tracking, smart agriculture, just to name a few. And by providing coverage for users to connect their IoT devices, hotspot owners earn crypto. They earn the IoT token. But the IoT network is not the only people-powered network. Earlier this year, we launched the mobile network. And the mobile network launched first in the United States, and it's now the world's first decentralized phone network. And since August, there have been over 6,700 Helium hotspots deployed in 1,400 cities all over the United States. And again, in exchange for providing this coverage, hotspots earn mobile tokens. But this is not why we're here today. Why we're here today is to tell people about our progress in moving Helium to Solana. So when Helium first started back in 2019, we built our own blockchain from the ground up. There weren't a lot of options out there. We looked at building on Ethereum. We thought about putting a Bitcoin miner in every single one of our hotspots. It just really didn't meet our needs. But fast forward to present day, there are tons of options that are out there, and block space is starting to become commoditized, and execution engines are also somewhat commoditized. But we started to see issues in our own chain. Around scalability and reliability, and ultimately, our network exists to provide access to devices and people. We're not here to build blockchains. And so it became clear that we needed a better solution here. And we needed a new blockchain. And so when something isn't working or there's an improvement, we have a process in the Helium network called a HIP. We stole that from Bitcoin, BIPs, EIPs, and Ethereum. Lots of protocols have these. And anyone who feels strongly about what the Helium network should be can write a HIP, write some code, and propose it to the community. And the community votes on whether or not these proposals should pass. And the 2 stars of the show that happened this year were HIP 51 and HIP 70. And I'll tell you all a little bit about these. So HIP 51 was where we established the Helium DAO. And this really was the reason why we started this process. It gave us the ability to expand Helium into multiple wireless networks alongside the IoT network. And that's how we launched the mobile network earlier this year. And HIP 51 also carved out this idea and sort of proposed this idea that tokens, hotspots, emissions rules, governance, all of that can live at a brand new proposed layer 1. And at that time, we started the evaluation of whether or not we should continue to expand the work that we've done on the Helium layer 1, or we should consider some others. And HIP 70 was a scaling HIP that we wrote this summer. And the community passed this HIP in September. And HIP 70 proposes a new architecture for the core parts of our blockchain. Proof of coverage, the system that incentivizes new coverage that's being created, and ongoing coverage before there's actual data transferring, and data transfer itself. And it also proposed, and why we're all here, a new layer 1, Solana. Typically, what we like to do with HIPs in the Helium network is we like to be very opinionated about what we believe the world should be, and rather than sort of like saying, oh yeah, and we'll evaluate 17 different things. And so why did the core devs choose Solana? So we chose Solana to massively scale the network and allow the core team to focus on the things that are the most important, supporting the growth of networks and growing the existing networks that are already out there. Again, 970,000 hotspots. When we started, all of those hotspots ran a full copy of the chain. And the 3 key reasons why we chose Solana is, we didn't want to sort of manage our own L1. Solana has this enormous ecosystem and a ton of devs. Working with teams like Dialect is an option for us. Being able to use core primitives like realms immediately was really important to us. And this massive ecosystem we thought would accelerate adoption of the Helium network. And finally, HNT and the other tokens become natively compatible with any other tokens and other protocols on the Solana ecosystem. And so it drives more utility to HNT, the mobile, and the IoT token holders. And Solana enables a lot of possibilities for us. And an important one was actually more rewards for hotspot owners. Because we were running our own L1 and we had our own staked validators, about 2 million of HNT a year was going to validators. And so that now can go back to hotspot owners. And there's also more opportunity for mining. Proof of coverage, which is the primary way that folks mine today as the network grows, is able to become more consistent. And our blockchain no longer has to scale super linearly to match hotspot growth. And we wanted to provide a better network. Data transfer is the key of this network, and we want to make sure that data transfer is as reliable as possible. And finally, we wanted to allow folks who had HNT, IoT, and mobile tokens the opportunity to participate in all parts of the Solana ecosystem. Participate in DeFi networks, participate in NFT marketplaces, and when we launch on the Solana mainnet, we're going to be minting almost 1 million NFTs. And then composability with other applications of the Solana ecosystem, as I mentioned. So where does the Helium Foundation come into the picture? We're focused on growing the protocol, the usage of the Helium network, and enabling open and transparent governance of the largest wireless network in the world. So the obvious question is, when migration, right? So one of the things I'm really proud to announce this week was the acquisition of the Strata protocol and Noah Prince and his team joining our team. And this team is going to help us migrate to the Solana ecosystem. And we plan right now to get to mainnet by Q1. So I'd like to invite Noah on stage. He's the one that yells at me if I try to write code, basically. So we're going to do a little demo, and Noah's going to set it up, and you guys will get to see some cool stuff. It's interactive.
We should go back to the slides.
Oh, yeah. Can we get one slide back before we switch over to the video? Or, yeah, to the...
Gotta explain what's happening. There we go.
There we go. If you hit that QR code, what you're going to see is 4 fake hotspots that are running on Solana mainnet. So here we go.
Jim, how's it going, guys? So, oh no. No, we need the slide back. I've been running.
Switch back.
So, Yeah, I've been put in charge of the Solana migration for Helium, at least the protocol side of it. So yeah, we're just going to take an entire network, an entire L1, and we're going to push it over there. Can't be that bad. So I've been told by multiple people that you should just record your demos. You shouldn't do them live, and you certainly shouldn't do them on mainnet. We're going to avoid all of that advice. We're going to do it all live on mainnet, because if it's not on mainnet, it doesn't exist. So we got 4 hotspots. So I want you guys all to go here, scan this QR code. You'll be able to click on these hotspots and basically simulate network usage. So pick your favorite one. I know it's like a horse race. Pummel our servers. Don't break them. So we've got the Helium DAO. We've got the mobile sub DAO. Sorry, IoT is not in here. We just got mobile. So what will happen is, as you click on these hotspots, they will be accumulating mobile tokens as rewards. And those mobile tokens will come from the mobile sub DAO. Now, those mobile tokens are backed by HNT that's coming from the Helium DAO. So what will happen is, Helium has epics. They run for, I think on Solana, we're going to run them for a day. I figured you guys didn't want to wait a day to see what happens, so I have the control to manually end the epic. So you'll get to see my terminal. But basically, we're going to take 100 mobile, reward it to these hotspots. We're going to take 50 HNT and reward it to the sub DAOs. Now, spoiler alert, mobile's going to do a lot better than IoT, and it's going to get all 50. Sorry, IoT. And then, wow, we're going to use Backpack. So this is where we can actually go and claim our mobile rewards. And then we'll show you some of the security stuff that we're doing as well. OK, now we can finally do the screen switch. How do we switch?
It'll switch over.
There we go. Yeah, it probably takes a bit. So if you didn't scan the QR code, it looks like this. You just get to click the hotspots to simulate some usage. So here we have a Grafana dashboard. I'd like to take credit for Grafana, but no, I just put this together. So we're putting a big focus on security here. So we don't want to be the last to know if something goes wrong with the network. So this is actually running against mainnet, and it's monitoring all the balances of the DAO and the sub DAO. So we've got our HNT balance in the mobile treasury, which is 0, because we haven't ended the epic yet. We've got rewards that are set to be sent out to all of the hotspots. And then we've got all the supplies of the tokens. Another thing you'll see down here is another security precaution that we have. So circuit breakers are really, if you're from TradFi, you're probably used to seeing them. It's this idea, sort of like electricity in your house, right? If there's a huge burst, you want to shut things down because probably it shouldn't have happened. In the stock market, if a single stock tanks by 20% in a day, usually they'll shut it down for like 10 minutes just so everybody can, see if it was legit, right? See if something bad happened. Reality is, we're writing these contracts, we are, having them audited, but you have to have backups. And in this case, right, like the most precious thing in the case of an exploit is time. So these breakers don't work quite like the stock market breakers. They're actually more of rate limiters. But the idea is the same. If more than, say, 20% of the mobile tokens leave the treasury in a configurable window, like 24 hours, we want to slow it down. So you'll actually see these live updating as we go through the demo. But I'm going to go ahead and end the epic. And this is where we'll see if mainnet has forsaken me. Mainnet has not forsaken me, guys. We did it. So we've got our backpack. Going to rug my password here. Cool. So here are our hotspots. And no pending rewards yet. That's, well, this is what you get for doing demos live on mainnet. Let's take a look. Down here, we can actually see that 100 HNT has gone into the mobile treasury. 50 mobile is ready to be rewarded. And you can actually see down here that we've got a circuit breaker on the mint authority of mobile. So if this were to run 5 more times, it would actually shut off to keep an exploit from happening. So we'll go here. Well, nothing ever works. All right. I will pull up our recording, which we have in QuickTime here. So generally, this is what it would have looked like. Sorry, guys. So you can actually go through, and you can claim your rewards. So generally, the way that we're doing this, Helium has about 1 million hotspots. You get into serious scaling issues if you're trying to send out rewards all the time for every single hotspot. It's just going to like spam the chain with transactions. So what we've created here is kind of a lazy distribution oracle, where your hotspots, which are represented by NFTs, accumulate rewards, and they're like a pinata. So you can come to your XNFT, and you can hit the pinata, claim the rewards. You can also claim all the rewards at once. And a design decision that we made here is the oracles don't actually depend on the blockchain at all. So they just have to keep track of the lifetime rewards. So right now, the lifetime rewards for this hotspot would be 20 mobile. Once you claim it, the lifetime rewards are still 20 mobile, but you've also claimed 20 mobile, so on-chain it knows that you're not eligible to claim anymore. Now, if you were to claim, or if you were to accumulate some more in the next epoch, that number would tick up because it's comparing the lifetime rewards to your current rewards. So after you mint these things, you can kind of see the dashboard here changing. Here, I'll just go big screen with this. I'm disappointed that the mainnet demo didn't work, but I always have to have a backup. And this was on the mainnet too, just a few hours ago. So now the other thing that we can do after we've claimed all of our rewards is redeem mobile for HNT. So this is kind of the core prospect of DAOs and sub-DAOs in Helium. The idea is that all of the tokens in a sub-DAO are still backed by the main DAO's token. So if you've looked at Strata, it's kind of similar to the bonding curves that we have in Strata, but it's only one way. So you cannot buy mobile tokens. You can only redeem mobile tokens for HNT. So here we have a swap. You can take some amount, burn the mobile, so that'll reduce the mobile supply, and that'll give you some of the HNT treasury. And you can see on our monitoring that the mobile treasury balance will go down, and also as we were claiming, the mobile rewards were going down. Now over here, you'll actually see the circuit breakers taking effect. So it's set to 20% within a day. And since we've burned some in a second here, this is going to jump up. Now, we can also go and we can turn our HNT into data credits. And data credits are what you use to actually pay for using the network. So generally, the virtuous cycle with Helium is that you burn HNT so that you can acquire data credits to use the network, and then people are acquiring these sub-DAO tokens for providing the network. It's sort of closed loop. Now, in a second here, in the demo, now we're going to break the breaker. So if I hit the maximum amount here, it's going to trip the breaker, and the transaction won't succeed. And that's important, because generally, we don't want something to happen where the entire treasury gets drained in one transaction. Right? That's probably not legitimate use of the system. And if it were a legitimate use of the system, the rate limiter will let it eventually get drained. We just need time. So with that, that's pretty much the full flow. We've got the full network kind of running on Solana. The parts that are left now of the Solana migration are the actual integration with Helium's cloud, right? So there are a system of oracles that are trying to count all the packets that are used by all the hotspots and provide proof of coverage rewards and kind of figure out that lifetime rewards. And then we've also got some interesting problems coming with taking all of the hotspots and all of the rewards and putting them onto the Solana blockchain. For example, like 1 million hotspots, we represent hotspots as NFTs. That's 1 million NFTs at about 40 cents a pop. It's very, very expensive in rent to mint those, so we're actually probably going to work with NFT compression to try and solve some of these problems. You also have to try to send a bunch of transactions to distribute these NFTs and mint them. So there's a lot of technical problems ahead of us, but the core functionality of how the DAOs, the sub-DAOs, how they work, the token flow. We've actually got that all working. It's in a contract. It's on mainnet. I'm hesitant to say live on mainnet because it's not live. We just like to make sure that things work on mainnet because, as you've seen here, transactions fail. You get bad data. Things like that always happen, so we always try to test on mainnet.
Can we switch over to the presentation?
Yeah. You want the?
Oh, sure.
So.
All right. So we published all of these programs in the Helium program library. It's available right now. That QR code will get you access to all of that. It's written in Anchor and TypeScript and things like that, so you can download it, build it, generate your IDLs. You can actually start using it. We actually open sourced the distributor, which is already open source. We changed a little bit, and the circuit breakers already. So if you want to use that within your programs, please try it out yourself, or come talk to us. We're around. Happy to take. I think we have like 7 minutes for questions if anyone has any. But really appreciate the time. Hey.
One question though. So you're right now having two different IoT concepts, the GSM network for mobile and the IoT for actual device communication without any kind of carrier stuff in between, right? Do you plan, for example, to have some kind of unified compound device hardware offering that actually is providing both? Something like VoLTE or anything around that?
Yeah, so great question. So the original IoT network that we built was for a protocol called LoRaWAN. And the sort of new mobile network is actually a CBRS-based network. It's a Citizens Band Radio Service, which is a shared spectrum that's available to folks in the United States. But the mobile network shouldn't just be for that kind of network. It should actually be for potentially IoT devices, but also really phones. Yesterday and the day before, the Nova Labs team launched Helium Mobile and sort of announced that all Saga phones in the United States would come with free service for the first 30 days. And so that's really what that mobile network is for. It's for our phones. It's for our sort of general use case. And I think the way that I think about the mobile network is it is not just for the US. It's not just CBRS. Ultimately, it's what else is on our phone. Most of our phones these days have 60, 80 different radios that it can, or say different bands that it can connect to. It can also connect to Wi-Fi, and I really believe that that is the future of the mobile network globally, and it's how it'll expand over time. And we're working on Wi-Fi as well, and there's a couple of different teams in the Helium ecosystem that are working in that direction today. Hopefully that answered your question. Yeah, so looks like we're good. So please find us if you have any questions. Just download the code and use it. I don't know. Noah and I are kind of the opinion is you can't get something working in 10, 20 minutes. You go try to figure it out and play with the code and figure it out. That's way easier than showing demos. Cheers. Thanks everyone.